book 2, welcome to Jackie's Little Corner. I am Jackie, and I know it's been only 2 days since my last update, but I'm gonna go ahead. I thought I would go ahead and update again. I just finished all the Light That Falls, the final book in the Lycanius series trilogy. So it's only 3 books. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time. I really loved the last book. I am still apprehensive though about it because so much happens in that trilogy. I think I have to watch some recap videos or go through the summaries that are the 2 summaries that are in the first and the last book, because so much happens, and I just struggle with these epic fantasies, and I think it's partly because they're so long, so I'm like, I'll finish it, and then by the time, or I put it down several times before I finish it, and then there's so much I don't remember. And I know I enjoy it and have a good time with it and really, get into the story and I'm very engaged in it. But just so much happens in these stories that I don't remember everything. So I remember the feelings, but it's hard for me to do a thorough review that explains what I like and what I don't like. And then I really struggle with finding stuff that I didn't remember, if there's anything in the books I don't like. And I don't want to automatically it's the gush and think it's the best thing ever. I feel very self-conscious about that. I feel like, I gotta find something that I didn't like. There's gotta be some criticism I can give it. I always feel like I need to find some criticism. So I'm nervous about writing my review for it. Anyway, so I'm almost done writing my review for The Carlisles at Home by Thea Home. And I'll be publishing. I probably won't give this one. I've been giving, because my dad, with his job, he did a lot of writing and stuff, so he's the person I go to look at my reviews and everything, and some of them, edit them and stuff after I've read it a couple times, and things that I think that I might have noticed. But this case, because, but with The Carlisles at Home, I just decided to make it, because it's such a short review and I don't have a lot to say about it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. So I'm just going to read it over and try to remember some of the things that my dad would always tell me to look out for. And, not mixing up my tenses, for instance. And then publish it. And then I can't think of what I have to do next. I don't remember. I have to look at my Word document, because I do have a Word document of the books I read each year, and I just like doing that. I like recording it, and it's easier for me to remember to do that, to type the title and author name in a list format, because I've always done it, and every time I've tried to stop doing it, I'm just kind of bothered, but I still kind of want to do it. So I like doing it. Plus I can get a little creative with the I might change the font or color the font or stuff like that. I like doing that. It's the little things that make you happy. So, anyway, so there's that, and then as for, I did read a little bit of Lord of the Rings. I haven't gotten very far, so I did decide to make sure I keep going with the Tolkien project. I decided to go ahead and I would pick up The Fall of Arthur, which is an epic poem that Tolkien wrote that's based on the whole his version of the Arthurian legend. And actually his son Christopher was the one that published it because it was unfinished. And he decided to publish it because he's been publishing his father's work his father never finished and never got published. He's been basically sending it in, which I think is really cool. I don't think this is just, I know that sometimes there are some people who are bothered when someone posthumously publishes someone's work, an author's work, after they die, because it's the money, they're trying to get money out of it. And the author might not have wanted it published theirs. There might be a good reason, but in this case, because Tolkien he would take so long revising his work and making sure it's perfect, because he was a perfectionist, so he would never finish anything, except for, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, And the Silmarillion, that's what it's called. When I was trying to film this earlier, and I couldn't remember what that was called, but it's the Silmarillion. That's not finished either. That actually is not finished either. So he had a lot of unfinished stuff. So I don't think it was, oh, I don't want it published. I just want it to. It was more like, oh, I just want it to be perfect before I publish it. Anyway, so I've decided to go ahead and read The Fall of Arthur because Lord of the Rings is taking me a long time to read. And I know a lot of people say read Lord of the Rings first and then read the other Middle-earth works. But The Fall of Arthur has nothing to do with is not Middle-earth related, so I figured it's okay. But I can, it's like, I think I should have to do how I want to do it. Those are just the videos I watch suggesting what I think you should read first. Was just their suggestion. And I don't have to follow that suggestion necessarily. Anyway, so I'm also reading the second book in the Bound and the Broken series, which is a great series, by the way. I would recommend it. I'm really enjoying it so far. It is a chosen one story, but in this one it's also one with dragons, and you find that this world, Etheria, was broken apart during this war when one of the Draylades, which are the dragon riders, one of their own, betrayed them because he didn't like taking the order telling him what to do and how to live his life and everything. So he rebelled. And it resulted in this fall and the world falling apart and the dragon riders being dismantled. But there are still some left. And the dragon eggs were destroyed, but there's also one remaining dragon egg. And some of the Draylades, they are trying to protect that dragon egg until someone comes along to become reconstitute the Draylades. So we have this boy, our main boy, Callan, and he comes from this local village, and he just came of age, and him and his friends, Dan and I don't remember the other guy's name, they are when they go on a trip to another village to deliver and collect stuff for his parents in their business. Callan gets mixed up becomes friends with this group of guys who are the Dragon Riders, but he doesn't know that. And he ends up helping them escape these soldiers who are trying to arrest them. And they take the three village boys with them, but they of course want to go back and make sure their family is safe because bigger things are going on. These bad guys are a threat. And just as they end up escaping, trying to get to their village, but their village has been attacked as they feared, and Callan's parents get killed. But before Callan can go defend their honor and, avenge them, these dragon riders, these guys show up, stop him from doing something dumb, getting himself caught, and take him and his friends with him to a city or somewhere, this secret location. And he finds out that they are dragon riders. And that they have a dragon egg they're trying to protect. And the dragon egg hatches while Callan there, and he feels a connection to the dragon, and he starts bonding with it, and he turns out he is the chosen Draylade. And he finds out they expect him to fight in a war. So it has all the great elements, and for me, even if it has a lot of familiar plot beats and conflicts and everything, like having a chosen one, destined to protect the world and all that, it's all the details and all how it's executed and all the elements put together create this story, create a different version of that kind of story, of the chosen one story. And actually, funnily enough, it might not really entirely be a chosen one story like they say. He assumes it is, but then someone tells him that, you're not really the chosen one. You just got lucky. kind of thing. And it's just, so it kind of turns it on the idea of the chosen one. It goes for a different approach with it. But yeah, it is, so it's a really cool story. I'm really liking it so far. The only book, I love the first one, I'm enjoying the second one. The prequel book, I was a little bit, I didn't hate it. I mean, it was an interesting story. It was a good story, but it didn't feel like it needed to be a separate novella. Like, it was actually a novella, and it felt weird that it was a separate story. But you got it for free if you got the ebook. So, I think what he could do is all his novellas, depending on their length, if they're all short, he could have put them all in one big book. But I think they're all in separate books. Like, but yes, I'm also reading that as one of my Mammoth. But so here's the thing, though. The only reason why I hesitate to participate in the March of the Mammoths when I'm not always active in it, I try to do it, but it's because I have so many books, and yes, I do have a lot of unread books, and I probably will never do a no-buy year. The only thing I buy is books. In movies, I don't have to, I live at home, so I just eat and I don't have separate groceries from my parents. So, as long as I give them, they're trying to teach me how to, if I ever live on my own and have a place where I pay rent, I give them money at the end of every month just to teach me how that all works. And that's it. So I don't spend money, but I do read my books. It's not that I don't. It takes me longer to read them. And then sometimes I have all these big books that I don't get to because I'm trying to read, because here is where we get to why I don't participate in March of the Mammoths as actively. It's because I'm thinking about all the shorter books that won't take me as long to read over the longer ones. So it's a cycle I'm in. Which brings me to the next book. I decided to go ahead and pick up The Cloisters. And I think this is a book I got in 2024. So last year, I think I picked it up. From Walmart, because occasionally Walmart does have some good books. Like, it doesn't always. Sometimes it has just the generic bestseller books. Like, it has a lot of Stephen King. But it doesn't always have the books, it doesn't always have the books that I'm excited to read. Sometimes it does, but not always, because I'm not always caught up with the trends or the new books. Sometimes I'm behind, with those. And sometimes the new books I'm reading, I am more interested are the ones that are wouldn't necessarily be the ones at like Walmart or somewhere. But I did get this one from Walmart, and this one is really cool actually, because it's definitely be perfect for like autumn time. It's very dark academia type, and it takes place at the Metropolitan Museum, a different part of the museum. The Cloisters, as the title refers. And you got our main character, Anne, who has just graduated, got her, I'm guessing her associate's degree, and gets a job, unless she got her bachelor's, I don't know. Gets a job at the Metropolitan, but the job that she originally went there for, they changed their mind. They're like, we don't need you. And the professor has left, so she gets a job working in the Cloisters, which was a more smaller field of study, they work with a lot of the stuff that non the smaller scale stuff, not the big stuff, but like the smaller artifacts and relics. They study all that. The stuff that unless you're a historian or a scholar, you're not gonna, notice those kind of stuff. You're not gonna be like, ooh, that's awesome. That's really cool. Unless you're just into the subject matter. And she joins the team, and it's just really cool. I have a fantasy about working at a museum. And just working in the archives, or working in this kind of environment. It just sounds really cool and really fun. just working with these rare documents and manuscripts and having to be careful and just studying them. It just seems like such a cool environment. I mean, I know that people would probably say, "Oh, it's probably boring." It's boring actually, but I think it would be so cool to look at all this old these old manuscripts or these old artifacts and stuff. Um, so the only way I can get that is read books like that are about that. That's why I like the Dan Brown books. Um, but I'm enjoying it so far. I'm definitely intrigued. And I'm also interested in the dynamic of the people that Anne is working with. You have Patrick, who's the guy that hired her, his assistant Rachel, and then you have the gardener Leo, whom we finally met. And Anne is immediately attracted to him, wants to hook up with him. And there's this very weird dynamic between the three of them, and she's starting to feel like she's has been thrown into their little sandwich. And I'm curious what's going on, because like the way Leo talks about Rachel, there's very much this, you almost feel like there's going to be a little bit of toxicity kind of things going on, and talking about, and he says something to Anne when they first meet where he's like, oh, Rachel always gets what she wants, that kind of thing, where it's like, you're asking yourself, is she like a good girl or a nice girl, or maybe she's a mean girl or a manipulative kind of person, or maybe Leo's just bitter because she broke his heart. I don't know, but I mean but then Anne witnesses them being intimate. So I don't know, but this is definitely a very interesting. So the whole fact that they're so far, the whole setting and all that and what she's studying and everything is really cool, but also the dynamic between the characters, the dynamic they're setting up is really intriguing, and I definitely want to know where it's going to go, and we're going to find out about these people and who's innocent and who's not. But yeah, so it's one of these things where I felt like I got to pick up something that is a little bit shorter and something that I need to read, and probably will, even if I enjoy it, will probably end up passing on to Givens anyway when I'm done with it, once I've read it once. So yeah, that is also how things are going. I am also still reading the Bible right now. The only thing is that, so my guidebook for how to read the Bible, the only problem is the way it's set up. You read different chapters, different sections, and it's just kind of all over the place. And I know that people will say on videos I watched on how to read the Bible, they say it's written in a certain way, that and not necessarily you should read it in order. But the problem is I don't always know the history, because there are aspects of it that are, for sure are to be true, like certain historical figures. I'm not talking about like Jesus or anything, but people like King Herod and Caiaphas and all those, and Pontius Pilate, all those people were real people. They are. And but so some of the history, the biblical history, I don't know it all. I know some of it. So it can be a little confusing to, because there was just a chapter that I read where it was talking about like the two different people fighting for control of the land or something. And I didn't know the setup and the history of all that. And so that's the only thing, is that it's random stuff. And I know there's a theme to each of the things that they ask you to read, but I'm not just reading for these themes and understanding and developing my relationship with God. That's still part of it. I'm not saying it's not. It is part of it. As a Christian, my relationship with God is important, the one I'm trying to develop. But also, I mean, also as far as the history and the stories and stuff like that. So if you look at it, whether you're looking at it as actual history or fiction, I still want to know, I still would kind of like to know the history that it's taken from, the history that it's based on. That stuff I kind of want to know. But anyway, if any of you guys, and I'm trying to be neutral here because I know not everybody, believes in the Bible. Some people do take it as fiction. Some people see it as, especially obviously for Christian, you'll see it as nonfiction. So I'm just trying to stay neutral right now because I don't want to upset anyone or annoy anyone because I still want to, I know not everyone believes. I don't want to shove my beliefs down anyone's throat or anything. It's just I'm currently reading it, so it is part of my reading. So, if you are a Christian, I'm not looking for a correction or anything. I'm just, I'm just telling, I'm just talking about, and trying to, try to appeal to not shove my beliefs down everyone's throat. It's just, this is, I am currently reading it. It's part of my reading, so I'm just talking about it. Anyway. So I hope you all are enjoying your reading currently, and are you participating in March with Mammoths? Is there any Mammoths you're reading? And I hope you like this video, and I will talk to you all later. Alright, bye!